So we're live again, and this time around we're going to talk about something that we've talked similar. I mean, we've talked similar on similar topics, but this time around, this is a completely different version of all those topics like mass control and media manipulation, all those things. Because what we're going to talk about is based upon the book which was written in 1930s, and you'll understand how remarkably well that fits all the dystopia that the author has talked about, how remarkably well that fits in with the modern world that we're living in. So, Mr. Baloch, I'm going to give you the floor now.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's he's talking about the book called The Brave New World. It's by a writer called Aldous Huxley, and it's so crazy. If you start to read that book, any of the viewers who've ever read that book, there were two books that were those were novels, but it was more of as if we are living in that sort of life that they had described. It was the 1938 or George Orwell, where he speaks about the Big Brother, about being under surveillance all the given time, and about Aldous Huxley talks about a world that is going to be coming in the near future. It's just a novel, but perhaps that's the thing where people will love to be in a state of servitude. They will love slavery because they will not know that they are slaves. You see, and the whole generation will be on. In his novel, he talks about this generation of people who are on a pill called Soma, where they're always happy for the fact
Soma,
that
right?
everybody Soma, yeah, on a pill
Uh,
called Soma. So you can relate it to something called as probably Prozac. Now you see a lot of people are on depression pills, but they always just want to be happy, or perhaps under entertainment or so and so.
I'm from India. This is something that I answered in the last stream also.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
this
Aldous
is very
Huxley
much
talks
about
about
mass control, right?
it's about mass control. Aldous Huxley, he writes in his book where he says that there will be a next generation or so of pharmacological methods of making people love their solitude and producing dictatorship without tears, so to speak, producing a kind of painless concentration camp for the entire society, so that people will in fact have their liberties taken away from them, but will rather enjoy it because they will be distracted from so many desires to rebel or by propaganda, brainwashing enhanced by pharmacological methods, and this seems to be the final revolution. Do you know how scary is this that these guys predicted all of these things in the mere past? And they said that everybody will be conditioned from the time that they'll be born. If you read that novel, it talks about how a child is born and they start conditioning you into
Right,
believing what they want you to believe.
right. I mean, this is so true. The fact that this talks about, it seems like it's talking about our own world, but the fact that this author has written all that and a fictional story, he must be knowing what the things that are coming, right? Which is, as you said, is scary.
It is because indeed, now, as I said, like how much of a life is ruled by technology? It came as a device
Right,
to communicate. Now it's become your master.
right.
People say we are not addicted to technology, but how much time do you spend without technology?
The Soma, which was an intoxicating drink that the governing authority in the in that novel used was, I mean, this could be very much what we are having as entertainment,
It is entertainment because the thing is they have to
social
keep you
media.
happy all the given time, right? They have to keep you making you happy all the given time because it's more about dopamine, right? Because every single time, as soon as you start coming back to reality, you start popping in. It's just like a drug. So it's
If you
either
could
by
give the basic outline of the whole story, if you could tell our viewers about it, because they might not have read this novel before.
yeah, like they can always go and do a preview, but I can just talk to you about it. And basic stuff is basically
Yes, yes,
about this,
just the
about
basic things.
just the basic thing. It's about this group of individuals when they are born,
City
their
state,
genetic
yeah.
city state. They're just genetically designed to first take you away from nature. All right, and in that he says you're gonna be hating to read. People will hate to read books,
Can you tell all the
right?
people that are in the chats that we're going to take the chats once you're finished, when we are finished? So, just stay there. Just tell them that we're going to take that
Yeah,
chat,
yeah, we're gonna
and
take that chance.
let's just finish this thing. So
Yeah.
they are in that society. I've read that even people are, you know, births are happening artificially. People are
Artificial
these
births.
artificial wombs are there. They're giving birth. There is this city, this world state that they call, where everybody is there, and there is this authority which is ruling them using Soma to make them desensitized all the time, so that they never question, they never think about what's outside of this bubble that they've created, and they're calling it a state or whole world. So you were saying something.
Yeah. So it's amongst them there is this one guy who doesn't take that pill, and he, because he's not on the same conditioning as they are, he can see and observe the world. Now, this is a lot of time it happens with our youngsters. You see, when perhaps most of the time, if you're thinking different, you'll always be alone. That's what Huxley says.
Right.
That feeling of if you're not with the herd, you'll be away from the herd, right? So what he does is basically, it's Soma is not only about taking a pill, but it's about keeping you entertained at every given point of time, right? Because there is no war, there is nothing. That's why you do not rebel. You're always in a state of happiness. That's the reason you see in one of the videos where I was watching, where he says to get out of the matrix, first thing you need to understand that you are in the matrix.
Right.
How many of us even know that we are in a sort of prison that cannot be felt and touched? Do we question
Right.
all of these things? How much time do we spend on technology? And now it's moved from semi automation to full automation in such a way that you cannot even do anything without technology.
But the thing is that it's the crisis of metaphysics. People don't believe in God, and they think that they can do whatever the hell they want to do. May Allah help us. To a
Religion was
great
always a
extent, this is
guidance.
correct.
To a very great extent, it is correct because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, see, again, I'm a person.
Dajjal is the mastermind behind this whole system, and Iblis, the devil. I mean, this is again something that has come out of the eschatology, because the study of the future events. I mean, the predictions that have been made by religious figures is called. I mean, the study of that is called eschatology. So Dajjal is also one of the figures that is going to come up, and this is something that is believed by Muslims and Christians and Jews also, but that's a different story because they're not going to see him as someone who is a negative figure or is a bad figure. They are actually waiting for the Messiah. But okay, so when I become the Prime Minister of Pakistan, inshallah, I will change everything. Okay, that's a very good
Okay.
thought. Hello, hi. Okay, so yes, we've taken the chance. So, what do you want to say about this whole thing? Are we living in a this
We
dystopia
are in a
that at
dystopia
that
world
time?
because, see, when you're getting into mass conditioning, now first thing foremost is we need to understand what conditioning is. When I tell you that do this and don't do that, that's sort of conditioning. All right, it's to making you believe what I believe in, right?
Right.
And knowing for the mere factor, knowing for the mere factor that we understand that there is a mass. Look at the trends. Look at the people around. You
Right.
see the common topics that they talk about.
I mean, there's just these trendsetters. They're going to set the trend to which everybody is going to be busy doing. Like there's these trends all the time on Instagram, on Twitter, and all these social media. And people have to do it just because it's trending, and they want to be a part of that crowd. That's called bandwagon mentality. They fear to be left alone. And as you said that there was this protagonist in this novel who stood alone because he was the only one who didn't take that indoctrination. He was left out. He didn't take that indoctrination. That's the reason why he was able to think independently, right?
He was thinking independently, and what happened in the end to him because everyone went against him.
Right,
You see, because his view was totally different.
right.
And
So I mean, you if you talk about today's world, how well do you think that looks like the dystopia that that has been presented in Huxley's novel in 1930s? We're talking about something like 90 years ago. A person could come up and say, I mean, so do you think that these things were happening at that time also, but they were, of course, they
They
were
were in the
less
process.
intense?
It was always happening. You see, it was always happening. From the time that they started using psychologists to do brain studies and try to understand people and their behavior, it was already there. And then suddenly there was a launch of television. You see how smooth was it? Because they were doing a lot of studies and a lot of experiment on human mind and seeing how the behavior was. And you know how crazy is this that your online behavior changes your offline life.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So what you see online and just when you're off from the phone, it affects you in the offline. So
Right.
that
It has
itself
an
should
impact.
make you understand it does have its impact because look at what's been happening. And as we were talking in the previous podcast also, Faiz, about it, that where is all the hate coming from? Because you see certain videos which are online and that affects you in your real life. And that
Yes.
is pure and mass manipulation. And when things like this happen, when you start trusting a technology more than your real senses, it should already create an door for you and an idea for you to
It should
understand that,
set the alarm bells ringing in our
yeah,
mind that something is not the way it's supposed to be.
as
Right.
Kazi was saying, we believe in the Dajjal, the Antichrist, and all of these things that he's gonna play a
But
flute
one of
and
the things that
everybody
he
will fall.
said, but the
Hmm.
thing is that it's the crisis of metaphysics. How well do you think this statement is? Because do you think this is a crisis of metaphysics? People are just believing what they're seeing. Most people I've come across, they would say that, okay, I won't believe in that just because I can't see it.
Because
So
they've taken away
metaphysics,
your bro.
if
Because
metaphysics is something that is, I mean, that's the study or that's the science of things that we cannot see. So it's the crisis of metaphysics. Earlier, people used to recognize things and give value to things that we cannot see. Because I think most of the things that have the most impact on our lives and our behaviors are the things that we cannot see, not the things that we see, right? Just because we cannot see something doesn't mean that it won't have an impact. Actually, that is going to have more impact. All these emotions that we cannot see, right? They have the most impact on our behavior, and they are all metaphysical things, right? So it's the crisis of metaphysics as well. People, as they said, that people don't believe in God and they think they can do whatever the hell they want to do, right? I mean, the fact that, like, one of the podcasts, you said that we should stop being God. The problem arises when we start to act like God. We think that we are God, right?
see,
So
because as I say, what is your right might be someone else's wrong. And me, personally, I stay with the belief that perhaps that nothing in nature is wrong, because it's just that we do not have the wisdom to understand what's going to happen. Because who we are and what we are is of all the wrongs that we've done, and has made us what we are. You see what I mean to say? And definitely understanding the mere factor that being in front of a screen is only creating suffering for you in your mind. It's all about the mind, because what you're seeing is just the projection of your conditioning, what's in your mind. A happy person sees the world happy and a sad person sees the world sad. So what they have to do is just from a screen is to start keep planting ideas into your mind and keep you in a state of confusion. Because the attention span has gone wrong, where we are treating real life as social media and social media as real life, people have
the
lost
in
their
in all
power of
this
rational thinking.
how do you think, I mean, and do you even think that Dajjal has to do anything with all these things? I'm not talking about the Dajjal, the figure. I'm talking about Dajjal, the
One-eyed
how
liar.
do you? I'm not talking about the figure Dajjal. I'm talking about Dajjal, the system, the Dajjalic system. This is what I'm talking about. Because one of the things that Sheikh Hamza Yusuf said is that, I don't know if he said this or somebody else, but he said that Dajjal, because Dajjal is one eye. One eye is right and the other one is not working. So he said that this shows that people, all the human beings have two eyes that have been given by God. And the first one is the eye that helps us see the material things. The second one is the spiritual eye. But Dajjal, his spiritual eye is no longer there because it's out. So
That's
this, I mean,
Imran Hussein.
as Shahriar, oh,
That was Imran
so
Hussein.
yeah, okay, okay, Imran
Yeah.
Hussain. So this is exactly what Shahryar Kazi here is saying, that people no longer believe in the science of metaphysics. There's a crisis of metaphysics, and they no longer believe in God. So the spirituality and all these things don't even matter to people. So in a way, this is also the Jalik. They might not be even knowing the word or the figure that's going to come, but still, that's very much the jal, because all they are focusing on is the material world, which is always not the right thing to do, because it is always going to get you to places that you don't want to be. Right?
You see, he's talking. Kazi's saying, look at the pornographic industry. They make so many dollars like we can't even think. They say it's freedom of speech, freedom of speech. My foot. How many marriages young people have there? Man, pornography is the worst thing that has ever happened to humanity.
It's a powerful
I can
industry.
say I believe it is the worst thing that has ever happened to humanity is pornography. As I say, it's always a place of mind because, as Hamza Yusuf used to say, that men in general hold pictures as a vision in their eyes much more longer than women, and it starts flashing. If you go and see the side effects and the things, mental effect that people have had because of pornography and what kind of addiction that they have had, that and kind of sufferings that they've gone through, you would never even watch even anyone. Like it's something really, really, really bad. May Allah safeguard every single human being
It's
from
dark.
that sort of thing. It is pretty dark, man.
And all
It
of
is
that,
pretty.
including the issue that we're talking about, all of that, don't you think it's coming from the same root, the same root of the problem, which is deviance from a from the reality or the real self. Most people just look at human body as just a bunch of carbons. There's so many atheists that have come across it. That we just bunch of carbons arranged in a way that looks like we have been designed. So I mean, if a person holds such a view, what he's saying that after death, a human body should only be good enough as a fertilizer. This is the, I mean, if you just completely remove the spiritual aspect of humanity and human beings, you're just good as a fertilizer. Why don't you just, you know, dug just dig a grave and go inside that and fertilize the soil? Because if you're just calling yourself a group of carbons, if that's all you are, like, then you're good for nothing. I mean, being a fertilizer.
You see, we must respect for. You see, it's been said in our tradition that hidayah comes from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. We are no one to force belief on someone, but
Yeah.
it comes according to
But
themselves.
we can have a good argument. Like we can have
No,
a
definitely we can,
dialogue.
and definitely we can. And at the end of the day, everybody has his own opinion. Everyone has his own rational mind. Everyone has his own things that they come to right and wrong with. And you will stand. We are like I come from a tradition. You come from a tradition that we believe in the day of judgment, right? We believe, and it's been said that there was a short story about it. There was a conversation happening between a guy who believes in the day of judgment and a person who doesn't believe in the day of judgment. So the one who doesn't believe in the day of judgment told the guy who believes in the day of judgment, saying that, who are you guys that you'll think that you're going to be dead, and after you're dead you're going to be resurrected, and then you'll be questioned about what you did, and so, and then you'll be going to hell and heaven. And then the guy who perhaps believes in the day of judgment, he says that, listen, if there is no day of judgment after this, at least I lived an ethical life. Nothing wrong, if there is. But if there is a day of judgment, then I think someone is
You're
in
in
big
trouble.
trouble.
Yeah.
I'm prepared for both. You see, and why not? I believe that every single human being must live his life knowing for a fact that he's being judged. At least he'll live an ethical life. We ain't animals. Animals live like that. We're human beings. You see, we have an intellect. We are people who are sending out space rockets and moon or to the moon and trying to approach the Mars and so and so.
This
But
is
we have a
exactly
bunch
what
of
I
young
was trying to
generation.
explain. This is exactly what I was trying to explain to a group of atheists that I was talking to, and I was just trying to tell them that we are human beings, so we are different from animals. But they were saying that no, no, that's just not right because we are also one of the species that is there. So there's nothing. He exactly said this. He said that there's nothing special about human beings. I said that I take a lot of offense in that statement because I think that we are human beings. So we are of course we are special. We
There's
make
nothing special about
beautiful
him
art.
probably, but nothing
I
about
mean, we
us. You see
yes,
what
I
I
mean
mean?
we make beautiful pieces of art. We make beautiful pieces of music. We write beautiful novels and all of those things, right? So I mean, of course, I mean, have you ever seen two animals talking to each other in a podcast? Right? Human beings do that. Human beings do that, right? They talk to each other, they exchange ideas. Animals, as far as animals are concerned, all they aim, the goal is just to feed themselves and just reproduce. That's it. Because they have to continue this their species also. They are genetically, designed to do that. But human beings, if human beings are going to do just these two things that animals are required to do, what's the difference between us and them? And fortunately for us, the most of the human beings are not like that. We think about other people. We know that there are still things, and we are the one. We are the I think the only species that understands the abstract word. If you try to explain a chimpanzee the concept of infinity, he won't understand. I mean, of course, we don't understand that properly, but still we know that this is something that is there. Infinity. There is this infinity that that means that there's it never ends. But these things are abstract. What is the color red? Red is something that is abstract. Number two. Can you give me number two right now? Can you give me number 47? Just give that to me. You can't because these things are abstract things, right? So we are the ones that understand abstractness of things. How
Just
can we
how,
be equated to
just
animals?
just how you said, Faiz, that all of these things are abstract because where is all of these things? It's in your mind, right? It's all in your mind. This is what we call conditioning, and it can be changed anyhow. See, like
You
looking
said
at
that it's
looking at
conditioning.
if you can, like, imagine today, right in front of your eyes. Look at your pets, how you tame them. You give them
And the
rules,
fact that you
regulations.
tame them, they don't tame you. The fact that you tame them, not the other way around, tells you
Yeah,
should tell you that you are different from them. You are special.
yeah,
You
you're
are
taming
the
them.
caliph on the earth. This is exactly what he
Caliph.
said to them. You are the caliph on earth. And they were very indifferent to this whole this explanation. They said that no. Actually, you know what? You are judging human beings and animals. You're comparing these two things, these two species, human beings and like sharks or other things, on a parameter that human beings are good at. Why are you not comparing human beings in swimming? That would make the dolphins better, or that would. I said that swimming. There are many animals that might swim much faster than human beings. There are so many animals that run much faster than human beings. But is speed going to be the factor on which we're going to judge? But intellect, I think intellect should be the factor on which we're going to judge which one is superior or not. All right, and human beings, I mean, they are the superior ones. I mean, human beings are superior, of course. I mean, why is it so difficult for them to understand? They would just the fact that you're clubbing together human beings with other animals. That's just a great disservice. That's clearly unfair. We've been to moon, right? And if
People have
some
fun.
extraterrestrial species is going to communicate with us, they're going to talk to the human beings, not the dolphins, not the gorilla, not the ants, but the human beings. So the fact that we are the ones who are representing Earth, we are the caliphs on Earth. Do you agree with this or not?
Definitely, but the caliphs of good one, we were here as protectors, you see, of helping the nature and taking care of species, not burning down forests for our personal use. You see, I had a friend, and I think we were having a conversation, and we saw that sometimes the leopard or the lion just comes into the city and stuff, and they're like, "How come they enter our cities? It's us who's entered their forests."
Yes.
You
Yes.
see, it's us who's entered their forests, and knowing for the mere fact that how much time are we involving in offline? You know what I mean? In reality, most of the time we are hooked on technology. We don't know what's been happening around, but we know what's happening in other part of the world, but we don't know what's happening around us.
But there is this good part also, because the fact that we are able to talk to each other while being so far away is because of technology. So it's the people, I think, who should be blamed. But I think you want to talk about the social media, the bad aspect of technology, and not all social media also, because the platform that we are in right now, it's also a kind of social media. It's not the social media like Instagram or Facebook that's completely. I mean, that has now become very much toxic, right? So, I mean, coming back to Huxley, do you think that there is any difference left between the imagined dystopia of his times and the reality of this world?
Whatever he says is actually come into being, and we can see that around us, that every single person is living in a perception that has been created by the so-called master. Everybody is moving where they want to be moved, and whatever they're doing, it's pretty crazy. As I said first, that in the past, that your online world is affecting your offline world.
Mm.
You see, and when things like this they start happening, it's a bit scary in a way.
When people were just the government was controlling the people in the novel by giving them this drink, and that was, I think, a kind of. I think he hinted at the entertainment industry, because sports and all, and entertainment and these movies and all. I mean, most of them are. I mean, many of them are right. I mean, they're not that bad, but still, it's a distraction. And one of the quotes that I read somewhere was that when people when people are distracted from the truth, that distraction comes usually in the form of entertainment.
A person who doesn't wake up, bro, a person who doesn't wake up and doesn't have any goal will always involve himself into pleasure. How many of us do we know what's our purpose? If you do not have a purpose of your own, you will be given a purpose.
Most of the people, they say that you don't even have to have a purpose. Everybody has their own purpose,
Ah,
so
okay.
there is no one purpose.
See, either have your dreams. There's a very great saying where it says, either have your own dreams or you'll be hired to make someone else's dream.
Yeah.
But it should already give us an
Do,
idea that, hmm,
do you think there is one purpose that by default everyone's purpose? Like human beings have been created for a purpose. I mean, all the other purposes are also something that gets on to that. But don't you think that there is a default by default there is a purpose that
purpose, as you
for which
said,
we have
that
been
we've been
created?
sent as Khalif, as we've been here to definitely spread compassion, spread love, or perhaps go out there, save these species, help every single person that we can. And when we lose that purpose, definitely but the problem is, the reason that we've lost that purpose is because we've involved ourselves into so much of entertainment.
Yeah.
We're just seeking entertainment every given point of time. We cannot just sit idle. They say every time a person is involved into any kind of talking or any kind of entertainment, because he's running away from his own silence.
Right.
So today, if you're gonna be sitting over here,
Yeah, people don't want that. People want to be amused all the time. Yeah, look at poetry, language, mathematics. Reminds of the verse that Allah taught Adam. The names of everything. First, Allah created angels, jinns, and then Adam in his own image. I mean, like, wow. But this hadith that talks about that Allah created Adam alayhi salam in his own image. This is not the image, the human image that God is talking about, the physical image. What this many people who interpret the hadith, the sayings of the Prophet, they say that in this hadith is the mercy that is talked about, not the actual image. Otherwise, that would lead us to the anthropomorphist belief that God is also like human being, like he has four limbs and all. So I mean, that's the mercy that
That
this hadith is talking about. God is also known for. I mean, he's known for many attributes, but mercy is an attribute that stands out. So human beings are also someone who have mercy, and that's the reason why we are able to. Where we have sanctuaries where we keep animals so that they don't get extinct. How many other species are thinking about this? All of those species other than human beings are just thinking about their own existence. But as you said that we are caliphs, we've been appointed as caliphs. This goes on to show that why have we been appointed caliphs, and we also have been given intellect to deal with all the things that we are supposed to deal with, right? Yeah, it's understandable. Okay.
definitely, man.
Yes.
Allahu alam, as I say. But as I believe that every single person must once give a read to the Brave New World. And if you have the time to read the George Orwell, and you'll understand that how come a novel which has been written in 1931 speaks so exactly and perfectly about the world that we're living in. So that
Yeah.
would be my remark for everyone, and try to contemplate about these things, stay away from technology, have a balanced outlook, because and try to question what are you being preached, especially when it comes from the internet. Try to go to your local scholars and so and speak about it. It's better to connect on one to one rather than taking knowledge from your screens. You see, because at the end of the day, anyone can pick up a phone and speak about whatever they want. And for the fact that we believe anything and everything should already give us an idea that we're already in the dystopia, what world that Huxley was
Mm.
talking about.
Right.
So that would be just my remark, Fez. And it's a pleasure talking to you, all right, and to the viewers. And we'll see you guys soon.
Okay. So thank you for giving your time, and it was really good
Sure,
conversation.
sure,
And
man.
we'll again meet on a different topic, right?
Definitely will soon.
Okay.
All right.
So
Assalamu alaikum.
okay. So, Walaikum salam,
Assalam.
and take care, everyone.
Take care,
Assalamu
brother.
alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.